The broadcast began with static, a faint hum that echoed through millions of alien receivers across the galaxy. Then the image sharpened. A dim chamber, metal walls glistening with condensation, a single human chained to a frame. The camera focused on his face, bruised, blood dripping from a split lip. Eyes half open yet defiant. Private Mason Hale, Terran Marine Recon, captured 2 days earlier on the outskirts of Raznar Prime. A ripple of laughter spread through the alien assembly hall. The Karvek soldiers leaned forward, their slit pupils widening in amusement. Their scales reflected the red glow of the interrogation lights. In the center of them sat Lord General Scarthal, armored in black metal streaked with gold. He was large, even for his kind, with jagged fangs that scraped audibly when he grinned. "Begin the transmission," Scarthal ordered, his voice deep and rasping. "Let the galaxy see what becomes of Terran arrogance." A technician nodded and activated the holo feed, sending the image across the entire Karvek Dominion and beyond, through trade hubs, military bases, even the public networks of the Galactic Concord. Scarthal stepped closer to Hale, claws clicking on the metal floor. "Tell us, human," he said mockingly. "Where is your fleet hiding? How many soldiers does Earth truly have? Or are you just scavengers playing at war?" Hale lifted his head. His breathing was shallow, yet his eyes held something sharp, something alive. He spat blood on the floor. "You really think this is how you win?" The aliens laughed again. One of the officers struck him across the face. Hale's head snapped sideways, but he stayed upright. The sound of the blow echoed against the chamber walls. "Answer!" Scarthal growled. "Or your suffering will last for days." Hale smiled. Barely a movement, more like a shadow of amusement. "You've already lost," Scarthal's nostrils flared. "Lost? You are one man? One weak flesh being chained in my hall. Humanity has no power here." "No," Hale said softly. "But you made a mistake." He looked straight into the camera as if he could see through the transmission, as if his words were meant for someone far away. "They know where I am," the technician frowned. "Commander, the subject's biometric signal—" "Silence!" Scarthal snapped. "Continue." But Hale wasn't lying. Beneath his torn skin, just under the left collarbone, a biosensor pulsed faintly. It had been dormant since his capture, invisible to scans, designed for one purpose: distress transmission. And now it was active. Thousands of light years away, in orbit above Earth, the Terran command network flickered. Deep within the orbital fortress Argent Dawn, alarms began to hum in tones no one had heard for decades. A glowing symbol appeared across a dozen consoles, a red circle with a black slash. Echo Black, active. The nearest operator froze, then spoke carefully. "Sir, we have an Echo Black signal. Confirmation code matches Private Mason Hale, Recon Unit 7. A senior officer leaned forward, his face pale. "Impossible. That protocol hasn't triggered since the Orion sieges." Another voice joined them. Cold, calm, decisive. "Admiral Rhea Langford, route the signal. Lock coordinates. Prepare the fleet for blackout readiness." "Yes, Admiral." "Estimated origin. Raznar Prime." Langford stared at the display, at the blinking red dot that pulsed like a heartbeat. "Understood," she said quietly. "Get me Captain Elias Voss." Back on Raznar, Hale's breathing slowed. The aliens had resumed their show, thinking him broken. The torturer approached with a glowing rod, the scent of burning chemicals filling the air. "Tell me your command chain," the torturer hissed, "or I burn the truth out of you." Hale's voice was hoarse but steady. "You don't get it. You think I'm here alone?" He winced as the rod touched his skin, a searing line across his ribs, but still didn't scream. The alien watching through the lens saw something unsettling in that silence. Not defiance for its own sake, expectation. "Pathetic," Scarthal muttered, turning away. "End him. Let this be our message to the galaxy." Hale's eyes met the camera one last time. "Message received," he whispered. 2 hours later, the broadcast was replayed across countless alien channels. Commentators mocked Terran weakness. Others applauded the lesson. Most dismissed the humans as primitives who'd risen too fast and forgotten their place. In the Galactic Council chambers, delegates turned away awkwardly. The humans present said nothing. They simply stood and left. But in the shadowed control rooms of the Terran fleet, there were no speeches, no outrage, only silence and motion. Ships changed vectors. Quantum relays shifted alignment. Orders moved through encrypted channels faster than light. Admiral Langford stood before the viewing pane of the Argent Dawn, watching the Earth turn slowly beneath her. She remembered the old doctrine, the one buried after the Orion Wars. "For one of ours, we bring silence." "Admiral," said her aide softly, "are we confirming retaliation protocols?" Langford didn't answer immediately. The blue of Earth reflected in her eyes. "No," she said finally. "We're confirming justice." On Raznar, Scarthal reclined in his chamber, basking in the triumph. His advisors congratulated him. Reporters gathered to interview the general who humbled the humans. He poured himself a drink of molten amber and stared at the hollow of Hale's final expression. There was something unnerving about it. Not fear, not defiance, but pity. A young officer approached. "Sir, we've detected unusual quantum interference near the outer moons." "Possibly sensor malfunction." Scarthal waved him off. "Probably debris from that human ship we destroyed. Run a diagnostic tomorrow." "Yes, sir." As the officer left, the stars beyond the window shimmered faintly, as though space itself had shifted. But the general didn't notice. In the deepest deck of the Terran flagship, Captain Elias Voss received his briefing. The screen showed Hale's image, chained, bleeding, still unbroken. Voss's jaw tightened. "He served under me in Orion," he said. "He saved my team when we were outnumbered 4-1. Langford nodded. "Then you understand why you're leading this. The Council will deny authorization. I want it done cleanly without transmission." Voss's eyes stayed on the image. "No negotiation?" "None. Raznar Prime will be declared a communications loss." "You leave no trace," he exhaled slowly. "Understood," Langford's voice dropped. "Operation codename, Final Echo, execute in 48 hours. Somewhere far away, on the darkened surface of Raznar, the chamber that once held Private Hale stood empty. His body hung silently, a single drop of blood falling to the floor. Unseen, unrecorded. But above him, in the black sea of stars, something vast was moving. Thousands of invisible signatures aligning into formation. The galaxy would not hear their engines. It would only see what came after. The orders moved through the Terran network without sound. No press release, no broadcast, no council vote. Just one classified directive transmitted to the fleet. Operation Final Echo. Execute. In orbit above the lunar base, the Argent Dawn floated in darkness, its lights dimmed, its systems masked. The stars reflected off its black hull like cold fire. Inside the war room, every officer stood at silent attention. No one spoke, not even the Admiral. Captain Elias Voss stepped forward to the central display. His uniform bore no insignia now, all identifiers stripped. Before him, a holographic projection of Raznar Prime rotated slowly, marked with crimson grid lines. "Planetary Defense Network," he began. His voice was low, clipped. 17 orbital platforms, 42 surface missile grids, and one primary command citadel under the Lord General himself. Our entry window is 14 minutes from orbital dark side. We'll come in cold and visible. Admiral Langford nodded. Authorization for full kinetic engagement stands. No atmospheric weapons, no radiation, no civilian broadcasts. We end their capacity to harm and vanish. Her tone was deliberate, every word precise. There was no need to mention Hale. Everyone in the room had seen the broadcast. A junior officer hesitated. "Ma'am, the Council may—" Langford cut him off with a glance. "The Council will wake up to a silent planet. By the time they debate, it will be dust." She turned to Voss. "Your team is insertion unit. Objective, recover Hale's remains. Confirm identification. Extract. No civilian engagement." Voss gave a short nod. Understood. He turned to his men, 12 veterans of Orion, quiet professionals whose faces bore no expression. They didn't need speeches. They had all seen one of their own die chained to a wall while aliens laughed. "Gear up," Voss said. "We launch in 6 hours." The preparation was soundless. Cargo bays converted into armories. Stealth pods loaded. Combat AI cores initialized with ancient protocols. The Marines moved with purpose, each motion practiced, deliberate. Voss sat alone in the drop bay, checking his weapon. His reflection in the glass showed an older face than he remembered. Tired eyes, a jaw set in stone. The hum of the ship filled the silence until Langford entered. "You look like you haven't slept in days," she said. He smirked faintly. "Sleep's overrated when we're about to erase a planet." She studied him. "You were with him in Orion, weren't you?" "Yes, Mason Hale pulled me out when my shuttle burned. Said I owed him a drink." Voss tightened the harness on his armor. "Guess this will have to do." Langford didn't smile. "Don't let anger guide you, Elias. We're not here for revenge." "I know." He checked the rifle's charge. "But I also know that if we don't make this hurt, someone else will try it again." Langford's gaze lingered on him for a moment longer. "Just bring him home." Hours later, the fleet slipped from dock and entered the void. No light, no beacon, no chatter. The engines pulsed in infrared silence. Each ship, destroyers, stealth corvettes, kinetic platforms, moved as part of one vast organism, coordinated by the Terran Command AI. The Black Fleet was an old weapon, mothballed for decades, now reawakened. As they neared the Raznar system, the bridge fell under red light. "Contact distance in 37 minutes, reported the navigator. "Maintain blackout," Voss ordered. "No transmissions beyond intra-fleet mesh." The Admiral's voice crackled through secure channel. "Voss, remember, surgical. Make them vanish, not burn." "Copy that." He looked through the viewport at the faint shimmer of the planet ahead. It glowed orange and blue, beautiful and indifferent. "They'll never see us coming." On Raznar Prime, the night sky burned with city lights. The Karvek were celebrating. The execution broadcast had made Scarthal a hero. The streets pulsed with neon banners displaying his image. "Dominion Eternal," they chanted. Inside the command citadel, Scarthal feasted with his officers. Music echoed against the steel walls, laughter loud and cruel. "Tomorrow," he boasted, "we broadcast our victory to the Concord itself. Let the humans know who rules the stars." One of his aides, Lieutenant Vartek, shifted uneasily. His scales shimmered pale green, a sign of discomfort. "My lord, if I may, there are ancient Terran records. Entire species have vanished after provoking them," Scarthal sneered. "Propaganda. Their fleet's a myth. Humans build ships for trade now, not war." Vartek nodded slowly, eyes flicking to the distant sky visible through the glass dome above. "Still, their silence unnerves me." "Then drink until it doesn't," the general said, raising his glass. "We are Karvek. We fear no human." High above the planet, the void rippled. The first Terran ships uncloaked for only a second, just long enough to position the orbital rods. The kinetic platforms extended their rails. Inside, tungsten pillars the size of buses locked into launch frames. They would hit the surface at Mach 15, generating the force of small nuclear strikes. No radiation, just annihilation. In the drop bay of Argent Dawn, Voss's team waited in their pods. The red light turned green. "Signal from command," said the pilot. "Final echo is live." Voss checked his wrist display, a holographic heartbeat line from Mason Hale's biosensor. It pulsed faintly. "Lock coordinates. We go in as soon as the rods hit." He sealed his helmet. The oxygen hissed softly, like a quiet breath before a storm. Back in the command citadel, alarms began to sound. The music stopped. Scarthal rose, confused. "What is that?" "Unidentified atmospheric signatures," a technician shouted. "Dozens, no hundreds entering from high orbit. Impact trajectory. Global! Shields!" the general roared. "Activate planetary defenses." "It's too late, sir. The first rod hit. It didn't explode." It simply arrived. A white-hot streak of light that turned a mountain range into a crater 5 kilometers wide. Then came another. And another. The impacts multiplied, each one a silent punch that flattened entire cities before sound could catch up. Within 90 seconds, the world shook. Shockwaves rolled through the atmosphere. Energy grids failed. The sky went black with debris. Scarthal stared through the dome at the descending fire. His voice broke. Impossible. No energy weapons can— It's kinetic, Vartek whispered, horrified. They're using gravity itself. On the Argent Dawn, Voss watched from orbit as the bombardment unfolded. The planet's surface blossomed with faint glows, one after another, until its night side looked like a dying ember. Status? Langford's voice came through. Phase 1 complete, he replied. All orbital platforms neutralized. Ground response minimal. Proceed with recovery, she ordered. Voss nodded. Dropping now. The stealth pods detached, streaking silently through the burning sky. They landed in what had once been the interrogation complex. Smoke curled from molten stone. The building was gone, replaced by a crater. Sensors located faint organic traces beneath debris. The team dug in silence. No words, just motion. Finally, Voss's hands brushed against a scorched metal frame. Inside it, human bones, the remnants of shackles fused to them. He knelt, brushing away ash until the faint Terran insignia on Hale's armor glinted in the firelight. Found him, Voss said quietly. His voice trembled once, then steadied. He's home. They placed the remains in a sealed containment capsule. Voss stood, looking toward the horizon. What little remained of the city now glowing faint red beneath the dust. Sir, his sergeant asked. Orders? Mission complete, Voss said. Let's leave them their silence. As they ascended through the smoke, the planet beneath them burned faintly, not in flame, but in memory. The fleet realigned and vanished back into the void, leaving behind nothing but silence. No transmissions, no signatures, just the ghost of a world that had mocked one human soldier. The dust over Rosnar Prime hung in the atmosphere like an endless storm. From orbit, the planet was no longer blue and green, but a muted sphere of gray, its clouds streaked with fire trails. Entire continents flickered faintly under the debris clouds, not burning, just gone quiet. Inside the Argent Dawn, silence filled the command deck. No one spoke. No one cheered. The operation was over in less than 3 hours. Captain Elias Voss stood by the viewport, his reflection merging with the dying planet below. The faint red hue of Rosnar's atmosphere illuminated the hard lines of his face. Behind him, reports whispered across consoles. All enemy transmissions terminated. All orbital resistance nullified. Planetary comms? He asked quietly. Dead, sir. Full blackout confirmed. No signals, no distress beacons, no power relays. Voss exhaled slowly, his hand tightening behind his back. Then it's done. Admiral Langford approached, her uniform unmarked, her voice even. What's left of their command structure? Nothing organized, said the officer at tactical. Scattered life signs, no coordination. Their upper atmosphere's collapsing from debris interference. They won't be broadcasting anything for centuries. Langford looked at Voss. And Hale? Recovered. DNA match confirmed. We'll bring him home with honors. Langford gave a single nod. The council will ask what happened here. They'll demand an explanation. Voss didn't turn from the viewport. Tell them the truth, he said. They tortured a Terran soldier. The next day their planet went silent. She didn't respond. There was nothing to add. Down on the surface, the wind howled across molten plains where once stood the Karvek capital. The air shimmered with heat. Ash drifted like snow. Amid the ruins, a handful of survivors stumbled through the wreckage. Soldiers, civilians, broken and disbelieving. Lieutenant Vartek moved through the blackened streets, clutching his scorched armor against his chest. The world he knew was gone. Buildings were flattened, the great dome shattered, its pieces glittering in the dim light like the bones of giants. He stopped beside the remains of the command citadel. Scarthal's body lay half-buried under fallen stone, his eyes open, mouth frozen in disbelief. Vartek stared at his dead commander, his voice trembling. You said they wouldn't come. He looked up to the sky, a colorless expanse of swirling dust where stars should have been. The silence pressed in, thick and absolute. Even the comlink in his helmet gave only static. "This is what they do," he whispered. "They don't roar. They erase." Aboard the Terran fleet, the recovery ceremony began quietly. The Marines gathered in the docking bay. No flags, no speeches, only a metal capsule placed at the center, marked with a single engraving, Private Mason Hale, Terran Marine Recon, duty fulfilled. Voss stood before it, helmet off, his eyes fixed on the inscription. His voice was steady, but there was weight behind every word. He didn't surrender. He didn't break. They thought pain would make him beg, but he knew we'd come. He trusted us to keep our word. He paused, then added softer, "And we did." Langford's voice followed, calm and restrained. "The galaxy will call this excessive. They'll say humanity has forgotten mercy, let them. Mercy isn't granted to those who mock our dead." One by one, the Marines raised their hands in salute. No one moved until the capsule was sealed and released into the void, a silent drift toward the nearest Terran vessel bound for Earth. The chamber lights dimmed as it departed. For a long moment, nothing stirred. Then Voss turned away. "Prepare jump sequence. We're done here." Far across the galaxy, the Galactic Council convened in emergency session. Holograms flickered over the chamber, news feeds, intercepted transmissions, planetary loss reports. The representative from the Karvek Dominion screamed accusations. They annihilated a world, a genocide in silence. "The Terrans must answer for this." The human delegate, Ambassador Lyra Chen, stood composed among the chaos. Her expression was unreadable. "We have no record," she said evenly. "No declaration of war. No confirmation of military action. Rosnar Prime suffered an unexplained planetary event. A meteor storm, perhaps. Do not insult us," the Karvek envoy roared. "Your people," Chen cut him off sharply. "Your general tortured a Terran soldier live across the galactic network. Did you expect applause?" The chamber fell quiet. Even the other species shifted uncomfortably. The Karvek envoy's voice faltered. "That was a misunderstanding. Discipline was handled internally." "Clearly," Chen said, her tone edged with frost. Internally and terminally, no one spoke after that. The silence that followed wasn't diplomatic. It was fear. In the quarters of the Argent Dawn, Voss sat alone. The operation reports glowed across his desk, endless data confirming success, targets neutralized, objectives achieved, 0 casualties. But the word success didn't sit right. He stared at the planet through the viewport, now only a pale sphere behind the veil of its own dust. He could still hear Hale's voice in his mind, the last words from the recording before the execution. "You shouldn't have done that." The door slid open. Langford entered quietly. She didn't need permission. She poured 2 glasses of dark liquor and set one beside him. "I read the council feed," she said. "They're terrified. Half of them think Earth's building another Orion fleet." Voss took the glass, his eyes still on the planet. "Maybe they should think that." Langford studied him. "Do you regret it?" He shook his head slowly. "No, but I wish it hadn't been necessary." "That's what keeps us human," she said. "The wishing," he gave a tired nod. "Still, sometimes I wonder if we're teaching them the wrong lesson." Langford's gaze hardened slightly. "No, we're reminding them the right one, that humanity's mercy ends where cruelty begins." Back on Earth, a quiet dawn broke over the Terran Memorial Plaza. The capsule carrying Hale's remains descended through the atmosphere like a falling star, escorted by 2 ships. It landed softly on the ocean near the western cliffs, where it would rest among others who never came home. Children watched from the shore, unaware of the details, only that a soldier came back. The story would pass through generations, not as a tale of vengeance, but as a warning. Do not test the silence of Earth. Weeks later, deep in alien space, whispers spread like contagion. Karvek traders refused to mention Rosnar. Entire systems went dark to human ships, not out of defiance, out of dread. In the Council archives, the official record listed Rosnar Prime as destroyed by unidentified natural phenomena. No one ever corrected it, but across the galaxy, In the corners where soldiers drank and smugglers traded stories, a rumor grew. A human was taken. The next sunrise, the planet that took him was gone. They called it the day the sky went silent. In the observation deck of the Argent Dawn, Voss stood one last time beside Langford as the fleet prepared to return home. "Think they'll remember this?" he asked. Langford looked out at the stars. "If they're smart," she said, "they'll never forget." Voss watched the void, the place where fear and silence met. "For one of ours," he murmured, "we send silence." Langford nodded. "And for the rest of us, peace." The stars elongated as the ship entered warp. Rosnar Prime vanished behind them, its story complete, its lesson eternal.